Hi everyone. So now we are going to talk about the parts of a stringed instrument. So you have the string instrument and you have a violin, a viola, a cello, or a bass, okay? So it doesn't matter what instrument you have, but the parts are pretty much the same. Except for violins and violas, you have a chin rest. That's where you just rest your chin. And cellos and basses, you have this part here, the end pin can be adjusted to a longer or shorter end pin depending on your size. Okay, so let's get started. The first part I want to talk about is the scroll. This is the scroll here. Okay, this nice beautiful part is the very top of the violin. Next part is the peg box. The peg box is where the pegs are. These are the pegs. So you have 4 pegs, and the pegs, they hold the strings at the top and they also tune the strings. Then the next part I want to talk about is the neck. This part is the neck. Okay, so this is the neck of the violin, and this here, the black part, is the fingerboard. Fingerboard, this is where you're going to place your fingers. Next part is the strings. You have 4 strings. So if I go from the highest one, this is the E string, A, D string, and G string, okay? So the G is the thickest one and the E is the thinnest one. So in the viola, the strings are different. So you see this is a viola, it looks just like a violin. It's a little bit larger. This viola is not larger because it's just not a full-size viola. Let's get started with the highest string. The highest string is the A string. Then you have a D string. Then you have a G. Then you have the C. So those are the strings for the viola. For the cello, it is the same strings as the viola, but an octave lower. So starting with the highest string, you have an A as the highest. Then you go to a D. Then you go to a G. And your lowest and thickest string in the cello is a C. Just as the viola, but an octave lower. So it sounds much lower than a viola. So this is the double bass. And the double bass has 4 strings as well, and the name of the strings is exactly the same as the violin, except that it's in the inverted order. That means that the top string, the highest string, is a G, and then you go to a D, and then you go to a, and then you go to a E. So the thinnest string and the highest string is a G, and the lower string is a E. Then we are going to move on to this part here, this part here, which is the bridge. So the bridge is actually the bridge between the string and the instrument. So that's how the sound travels to the body of the instrument, and then you have the sound get produced. The next part I want to talk about is the tailpiece. So this part here is the tailpiece. It's what holds the strings to the violin at the bottom of the violin. And here, this thing here is called a micro tuner or a fine tuner. Your instrument is supposed to have all fine tuners, okay? So you can tune your instruments. So have all fine tuners. Next part I want to talk about is the F holes. This is the shape of an F. So you got 2 F holes, and the sound comes out of the F hole. So the next part I want to talk about is the chin rest. So this here is the chin rest, and it's very self-explanatory. The chin rest is just where you rest your chin. So it helps you to hold your instrument and it doesn't fall from you. So the next part I want to talk about is the body itself. So the body itself is divided by bouts, and this is the top bout, the higher bout, the upper bout, and this is the lower bout, and this is called the waist. So you can very easily just compare this to our body. We have our upper body, and we have our lower body, and we have our waist. So if you look inside your violin, so if you take a look right here through the F hole, you're going to be able to see a stick that is about this big. And It is the connection between the top and the lower and the bottom part of your instrument, okay? Also, it is a part of the instrument where the sound travels, and it sends all the vibration throughout your whole instrument, and that's how the sound travels throughout your instrument. So the next part of the violin that I want to talk about is the end pin. So this little button here, it's called the end pin. In the violin and the viola, this is the end pin, that's all about it. In the cello and the bass, you can make your end pin longer or shorter just to adjust to your height, so you have a good and a proper posture when you hold your instrument. So that's all about the parts of your instrument. Thank you.